Yo ho ho! What's going on, guys? This is Grim Reaper bringing you One Punch Man 124 chapter review. As always, if you guys would like to expand the conversation after this video and onward, not just in the comment section, you can check out the Discord where we discuss One Punch Man all day long. Also, check out our Patreon if you'd like to help the channel grow with our activities and different projects we plan to start in the new year. So, Rover just did that thing to everybody. Alright, obviously not everybody, but you get the sentiment. We start the chapter off with like Rover annihilating just the entirety of the battlefield. We have to remember, the floors that we see in the beginning of the chapter, that's like, that big pillar in the center with the background, it's obviously a cavern that it seems to have been created by Rover. This is alluding to a lot of things. So first that comes to mind is that, okay, so some of this fight was off-screen in contrast to the previous chapter. One note that I have to mention is on Twitter, Murata mentioned that there's some continuity issues between chapter 123 and chapter 124, and that it'll be addressed in the new year coming up. It will also be addressed in the volume, so you don't have to worry about that if you're going to purchase the volume, but we should be able to get the actual correction in a few months or whenever the time period comes and Murata decides to address it. So, granted, with that being the case, we can't say exactly what's going on, but we can say for sure that if this continuity of 124 is going to be the canon, and maybe 123 is going to be, there's going to be a different cliffhanger for it, let's say that the redraws come for 123 instead, we're going to be basically confirming the destructiveness of Rover's like volleys. One of the most signature blasts that we've seen in the entire series. One of Rover's signature single blasts. He busts through like 50 floors up against Garou. But this is like times 3 in comparison to that. Like, I feel like the fight's been going on for so much longer, but at the same time, Fubuki doesn't seem anywhere near as stressed or as injured, and neither do Bang and Bomb. So I'm kind of getting a context where there is a strong connection to 1, 2, 3 and how it ended and what's going on now. But this is an exaggerated amount of destruction. Like, this is not what was shown whenever we first saw Bang, Bomb, and Fubuki in the previous chapter. I guess there's some continuity issues, so maybe we can like ignore that. But regardless of that, well, that's just trying to tell us that Rover can do all of this. And this is all due to him. I'm not seeing this being like a consequence of the Orochi Saitama fight, even though it is very, very obvious that by the time this arc is over, we'll have a completed map of the Monster Association base, the subterranean base, and where all the battles occurred and how they connected and when they were going on. Because a lot of these battles are happening simultaneously, right before another, creating landscapes or battlefields for consecutive fights to happen on. This layout here, I don't think it's wrong for myself or maybe even others to see it as peculiar. Like, this is a huge cavern of destruction in comparison to what we've seen Rover do before. It's not that he can't do this, it's that this is a lot. This is a lot. It's as if you had a basketball and it's already hollow, but you put a tube in the center of it. And now all the hollow space is basically representing what Rover's done here. Because I'm assuming the top, as we saw in the previous panels towards the end of the chapter, that pillar connects to the top. It's almost like an apple that's been eaten, but not the skin. It's hard to describe, but a hollow sphere, basically, with a cone in the center of it. To be doing this, it's crazy. And there's no signs of Bang and Bomb like deflecting these beams when it's going. And on the contrary, on the first page here, where we actually see the first pillar, one of Rover's cannons is like curved, and you get the perspective that like these attacks are going in the opposite direction towards where Fubuki is. So the last 2 cannons on the left side of the page are describing the depth of the target, while the other ones are going horizontally. So we could be seeing like a different strategy or more capabilities from Rover. Like, he can basically hone his projectiles. Now, I'm not, like I said before, Murata said here's going to be a redraw involving this portion of the fight, so I'm very, very anxious to see what's going to be adjusted, changed, retconned, or added to in consequence of that. So we'll leave that alone for now. But the reason why we have to address that seriously is because of the matter of Rover's power level, Rover's destructiveness, OverGrown Rover. So the two individuals, three individuals, four individuals, however you want to count them up. Garou, Bang, Bomb, and Fubuki. The primary ones here are Garou and Bang. Now Bang and Garou have fought before. This was after Garou had gone through fighting the AB8 heroes, had encountered the Demon Cyborg, and was taking on Bang with everything that he had. He put on a tough fight, but Bang completely overwhelmed him in that encounter. Now, whether that's because Garou was just exhausted or because of Bang's superior knowledge of the water stream, or both, it doesn't matter. Bang overcame Garou at that point. But in consequence of not only that fight, but previous fights with other people, Garou came out to encounter Rover in an elevated state. With his new knowledge of the whirlwind, he took down Royal Ripper like nothing. Came down, encountered Showerhead, Super Mouse, and Unicorn, and took care of them as well. All demons in a row. But it was only up against Rover where his life flashed before his eyes. Now we have three other characters, three other fighters, three other monsters getting ready to deal with this insurmountable threat. Garou wasn't able to overcome it. Saitama was, and he left lasting damage on Rover, at least according to what Bang is referring to. We actually saw some blood coming down from Rover, so I'm kind of interested to see what kind of injury it is. It's just obvious that there's some censorship going on here. Animal cruelty isn't a cool thing anywhere in any culture, even though, for example, in the JoJo series, there's a lot of that going on with that author. But Murata seems to use strong censorship, and I'm both appreciative of that, but also I don't think we're going to see like exactly how Rover's injured that badly. We may see some blood, but I don't think we're going to see like a gash or see him cut in half or anything crazy like the other monsters have. With that being the case, Bang and Bomb are incredibly tough. Rover is one of the most destructive dragons that we've seen in the entire series. Melzigard doesn't compare. Vaccine Man's fucking cannons don't compare. Koketsu's DC isn't necessarily on the same level or anywhere near it, as far as we've seen. Even though it's assumed that he can do a lot more than what we saw in the stadium. Elder Centipede, by moving, is able to thrash cities. So that's about the scale that we're talking about. And that's why he was on one of the previous thumbnails in chapter 123. Elder Centipede is known for his durability. So is Rover. He took a punch from Saitama and just got knocked out. Got right back up and is doing this. Bang and Bomb made a valiant attempt up against Elder Centipede. And they managed to make him shed as well. So their offensive ability isn't anything to laugh at, anything to slack about. There's a very, very good matchup here. And we should look at all the components to kind of get a sense or feel of how it is. Now, obviously, there may be some narrative ploy here. Like, I don't think Bang, Bomb, and especially not Fubuki, is going to die. Rover's a monster. He can't be in the story the entire time because this is his arc. So we're most likely going to see an end to Rover in some capacity. I don't think it's going to be in this fight. I'm not sure if I want it to be Bang, Bomb, and Fubuki who do it. But I just don't know what's going to happen here. Rover is a monster. It's not a lie to say that if Elder Centipede were to encounter Rover, cities would be done. And neither of them would be done. I could see Elder Centipede taking quite a bit of these blasts. I could see it. Because Genos produced some pretty destructive stuff. It wasn't on the same scale. Maybe it didn't have the same potency. It looks like Rover's blasts they're described differently. They're like heat and they're difficult to describe. A lot of these things are difficult to describe. But they're both powerful. I don't think Genos' cannons did very much to Elder Centipede, but they looked very impressive. So I have to ask, like, is Rover's cannons also going to bounce off Elder Centipede? Now, we can kind of like argue whether that matters or not because it's Bang and Bomb here. They obviously don't have the durability of Elder Centipede, but they do have the attack. We just got a combo at the end of the chapter. It was a cool one. We're going to see how effective it is up against Rover. I'm not expecting that much. I want this to be a drawn out fight, and as was mentioned in the comment section, I wouldn't be upset if this turned out to get the Phoenix treatment. But the fact of the matter is that OverGrown Rover is a high dragon, arguably one of the highest dragons we've seen. His destructiveness this chapter puts him above most of the characters that we can even think of or even hype up. I'm very, very excited to see how this turns out, and the amount of amazing art that we should get from this. We're in for a treat. The next thing I want to address in this chapter is Fubuki. Fubuki has been a character that's been in our eyesight since she first showed up, and for other reasons that are not necessarily power. But now we're addressing that fact as well. Previously, Fubuki fought Saitama. That was her most impressive encounter, and we got to see a large display of her capabilities and what she could do. I don't think that Fubuki can take on a demon alone, but she demonstrated the ability to resist and encounter a demon in Dos S, even though she wasn't the strongest of demons we've seen. And in general, psychic capabilities are very effective, and they have a lot of matchup advantages. We've just seen Fubuki block a Rover Blast in both chapters. Now she's even able to amplify the capabilities of those around her. Thus, a suited up Bang and Bomb. I'm not sure exactly how far we're going to go with this. If she's just going to be a support for the characters. If she's going to end up having to assault and become part of the team. All this goes down to development and changes that are going to happen in the story. A lot of people tell you that One Punch Man is a satire-based story, that it has no substance, that it's just about fights, that the parodies in it are the main part of the story, and that it has nothing else. But no, this is as deep as any story there is. But this is a seinen. It's not one of those regular shonen where this guy's just gonna win because of friendship and stuff. No, there's some things that happen along the way. People change along the way, and this is a great example of it. So I'm expecting not only Bang and Bomb Bang and Bomb now have more respect for Fubuki. Bang already addressed that. He already thanked her thank you, little lady. I feel good as new or whatever. She's being effective not only once but twice in a very perilous situation. That's serious. She's not useless. At all. She's not useless. And the fact that she has that personality quirk that it's been annoying and bugging-ish, and she's cunning, or she thinks she's cunning enough to try and gather all these people under her, even though they're just casually hanging around Saitama. She's taking advantage of the situation. All those are little personality quirks she has that we're seeing about her, and a lot of times you don't get that for other stories. It's amazing to get Fubuki's potential after this, because hopefully she'll get the respect of the rest of the Fubuki group. If Bang and Bomb are showing that much respect to her, it's no longer she's annoying or calling her a young lady, or just disregarding her as the menace in the room. Now she has significance in terms of comradeship, companionship, or whatever. One of the strongest bonds you can form with another human is when you go through adversity together. There are even times where it's those bonds formed that are stronger than family. You'll often be more connected to a guy who you went through 2 years of football with than your uncle who you see once a year. It's things like that. That happens to be the case. So I wouldn't be surprised if this little trio has some more banter after this arc ends, and that would be really, really cool to see how she treats Bang and Bomb, because she's already being commanding and I did this. I don't like to dirty my hands, but I've dirtied my hands for you, so do something for me, or respect me, or kiss my toes or whatever, kiss my feet. She's down. I don't think they're gonna do that. These niggas aren't gullible like that to a huge extent, but and unfortunately the other people aren't gonna be there to see it. That's something that's held tight within the group. Almost nobody else in the group knows that King doesn't have powers, and a lot of them don't know that or seriously respect the fact that Saitama is really Genos' master and shit. There's a lot of secrets or knowledge that not all of them have amongst the group, and that's a dynamic that's been working the entire time. So I think this is gonna be another element of that these three are gonna have experience fighting Rover alone, while Genos wasn't involved, King wasn't involved, Kuseno wasn't involved. Like, they're separated. So it'll be really cool to see how that happens. Fubuki stepped up for real though. After realizing that like she can't run away from the fight anymore, like where she had a traumatic face. Like this is some real shit. The Fubuki lovers, us who serve the princess, we're getting some really cool panels. Unfortunately, they involve her being damaged and bloodied up, but like she's showing real emotion and real determination and like real substance and character. Like she said, hey, like this is a person who's so selfish the entire time. Like she's shown glimpses of like generosity and that she cares about the people around her. As when like the new Fubuki group needed a vehicle to get around. So along with the other members of the group, she herself went out to go collect money and fundraise, and they were all able together to get a whip for the group. So she does care about them and she does attend to them. She even told Tatsumaki not to hurt any of them whenever she came to save Fubuki from the encounter with those S. So this isn't something new, but to see her pull this out in such a perilous situation where normally she probably wouldn't even display this type of like courage. She probably even like dropped down in amazement, like we saw with like the Geno Sonic encounter, and how like Saitama protected her, and she was kind of awestruck in that entire time period. She didn't like get up, protect herself, or like try and stop a fight or anything, or get involved or attack anybody because she was anchored because they endangered her. She just sat there on the ground in awe. So to have her taking this like forward approach, even though these two geezers are known as these niggas strong as hell, bruh, but they just sitting here cooling, and she's the one who's gonna take the lead. She's the one like, oh, like my powers can do this. I'll fucking protect you one more time and use that to escape. That's all I got. And then like oh, it was so amazing, bro. Like she really like she put all of it into it, bro. She put all she had into like putting up a shield to stop that shit. Like all three of them cannons was coming, and they was gonna fuck Fubuki, bro. And we're gonna fuck the shit out of Fubuki, bro. And then Bang came through with like with that suited up body, bro. Suited up Bang came through and deflected them shits, bro. But we saw the destruction that they caused. But like, just the fact that Fubuki was willing to put literally 100%, like we saw 100% Fubuki, and I was proud, man. Like I was proud as fuck. I'm like, all right, bro. Like this three-way fight about to be a thing. Like I'm excited to see this shit. I'm excited to see the different like dimensions of like matchups, maybe like power combinations and boosts and techniques that we can see from these guys, because it's a different type of opponent. It's not Garou where they're doing hand to hand again. It's not a meteor, it's not other monsters that are still limbed like that. This is a little bit different. This is OverGrown Rover. I'm very excited to see how Fubuki will change in regard to this, in terms of like character and personality, but maybe even in terms of overall power. I don't think it's crazy to say that Fubuki is S-class right now. I don't think it's crazy to say that Fubuki could take on some of the disciples. Maybe Ian by himself, but I think she could take on Okamotachi and Bushijiro alone. Maybe this is too exaggerative to say because of this small presentation, but it's in these instances of extreme conditions of extreme stress that we see all these main characters strive and improve and have their biggest jumps. That's when it happens. Like Garou deflected bullets when he needed to most. So I don't think it's crazy to say after this Fubuki will be a true S-class. Maybe she'll have some trouble getting acknowledgement from her mind, maybe her own lack of self-confidence to a degree, even though she's cocky, but she maybe lack a little bit of self-confidence, or enough self-confidence to actually like challenge a Mai, or have a Mai reevaluate her that she can progress into the S-class. We'll see. Those are my thoughts for now on 124. Make sure you check out the One Punch Man podcast, where we will be addressing, discussing, comparing, and contrasting all of our ideas on chapter 124 and more. We'll also be talking about the culmination of what's happened this year, as it'll be the last One Punch Man podcast for 2019. We've gone through a lot of stuff together. We've discussed a lot of greatness. Murata has released so much godliness, and one has guided this story to greatness. So to discuss it one more time before the new year, and to also prepare for like the new year's comings, and to try and expand upon what we've already done this year. So make sure you check out that podcast, and we'll see you boys next time, man. Yo ho ho!